Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts. We're talking playoff matchups.
Yeah, in this game, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm going to be there for it, watching it. The Packers, Eagles, Jalen Hurts coming off the concussion protocol. Hasn't practiced a lot, but that Eagles team is rolling. And the Packers, stumbling into the playoffs a little bit. Jordan Love, is he the real deal? Christian Watson tore his ACL. I really, if I had to pick, I feel like the safe choice is the Eagles, but I kind of do like Packers in a close, like Packers to keep it close.
Honestly, I think that this one has blowout potential. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think that the Eagles, they're not going to be deterred by the Green Bay Packers. I think that they're just going to run through them like a hot knife through butter. I think that even with Hurts coming off of concussion protocol, if they were winning with Kenny Pickett, they're going to be fine with Jalen Hurts. I think that Saquon Barkley is too good. I feel like their offensive weapons are just too honed in. And defensively, they're playing a lot better down the stretch than a lot of people expected in the beginning of the year, where it was like, okay, well, there were so many holes on this defense. People are just, they're going to take advantage of them. Oh, the sky is falling. They ended up figuring it out, and they look a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like I just don't know how to feel about the Packers because I feel like there's been I didn't really believe in Jordan Love and him getting paid so fast and all this stuff, but I feel like there's times where I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a guy and this team's legit. And then there's times where I'm like, what is like is this team even good? They if I'm looking at their schedule, have they really even beat a good team? Like had a good win where you're like, yeah, I feel great about this team. They lost they lost to the Vikings by 2. They lost to the Bears by 2. They lost to the Lions by 3. They beat the Bears by 1. They they beat the Texans by 2. They lost to the Vikings by 2, and then they lost to the Eagles by 5. Like that's what I'm saying. This team is so on the edge of being 7 wins and mediocre and being 12 wins and elite. Like they could go either way. I think it's going to be that way for a while with this team, but that's what makes me feel weird about picking the Eagles. Like, is Jalen Hurts really going to show up and show out enough? Or is it going to be a weird game where he's, missing throws and maybe Saquon gets to contain? Josh Jacobs could go off for the Packers, and then Jordan Love, it opens up the pass game. I really, I wouldn't feel safe betting on this game, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think that that is a very good assessment because Matt LaFleur is good. He is a very, very good head coach. He knows what it takes. Like, he's done this for a long time and been at a high level. And a lot of people were like, okay, well, it's because he had Rodgers and then he made the switch to Love. And it's like they haven't missed a beat, really. I think that he puts them in these positions to make it close. But talent wise, this Eagles team is just so much better. And I think that ultimately it was the right move to pay Love. I just don't know if he's 100% hands down a top 10 quarterback in the league, top 15, maybe he is, but you paid him like he was a guy, and I just don't know if he is. And so I'm much more comfortable with what I have in the Eagles than I do in the Packers.
I guess it does for you come down to it's the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. And the Eagles have more guys, and Saquon, we know what he's gonna do. AJ Brown, we know what he can do. Is Devontae Smith healthy? Hopefully. Uh Jalen Hurts being back is huge for them because Kenny Pickett, yeah, he looked good, but I wouldn't trust him in the playoffs. The lights are brighter. The lights is too bright. So yeah, that and the defense we know for the Eagles is loaded with guys. And I think kind of like last season where they started to fall apart at the end and like there was those losses that as the losses started to pile on, their confidence shook, and I think they have a lot of personalities in that locker room, especially with their
Yes.
head coach, and it became volatile. And this season, I felt like it did start to feel like that a little bit, but they won a couple games, they got back on track, and Sirianni feels like he's calmed down a bit and added a little bit more stable environment. And I think that's been a huge difference this year, especially with Saquon being there and being a guy that is like selfless and very about the team, especially when he could have, went for the record in the last week of the season. Him being like, nah, I trust the process. Like, I believe if the coach tells me I'm going to sit and we're going to go for a Super Bowl. That makes me feel better about this team and what they're building. And it makes me feel like they're going to come, ready to play against this Packers team.
Yeah, I mean, the Saquon edition, I mean, we're going to look back on this in like 10 years and be like, how the fuck did we, like, as a league, how did they let this happen? Because this is a guy that is just a workhorse, the number one running back besides Christian McCaffrey in the entire NFL. And we let him go to a system that was perfect in the same division as the team that he was previously on. And he automatically became the Eagles' hands down best player. And on a team that was already stacked with so much talent, right? He
He became
became
the
their
best
best
player in
player.
the NFC.
Yeah, but he steps onto this Eagles team that has already accomplished a lot and became their best player. And when you do that, when you are the guy and you are him who is seeing it in a different light, who has been to who was in a trash organization a couple weeks ago, he was saying, "What is a hat and t-shirt game?" He had never played in one. He never played in a hat and t-shirt game. He said, "I don't know what the fuck that is." And so when you have a guy coming like that, that is like, hey, what are we fighting for? We're winning. Guys, shut up. Do your job. I'm here early. You guys should be here early too. Like, what are we doing here? When you have that guy who is that big of a leader and the best player in your team, and he is trying to go out there and get wins, he's being selfless and not going for a record, even though it's pretty obtainable in 100 yards on the last game. That speaks volumes as far as what the rest of the locker room should do. And I think that his performance down the stretch really did bring that team together.
I think we got to do a whole segment of an all how could you let them have him team. It'd be like Baker Mayfield at quarterback, Saquon, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown. Like we have to go through the all how did you guys let him go to that team?
Richard Sherman switching from the the Seahawks to the 49ers.
Yeah. I feel like that could have some good pulls. The guys, let us in the comments who you would put on that list. I mean, Klumack to the Chargers for a while.
Yeah, but I think that really does bring the locker room together when your best guy hasn't seen a whole lot of success and he's like trying to understand why there's such a disconnect when you're winning. Like, I think that has a lot of pull.
Yeah, I think you convinced me. I think I'm taking Eagles straight up. Maybe even Eagles -5 in that game. Is that
I
what
think
is
so.
Eagles -5? You're going blowout
I
city?
think it's going to be blowout city, if I'm going to be honest. I don't trust this Packers team to like keep it close, especially when they're just such a pedigree with this Eagles team. They know what it takes to take a deep playoff run. This, Packers team shit down their leg last year in San Francisco after blowing out the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm just going to roll Eagles. I'm going to take the safe bet and I'm going to go Eagles.
I will say the only thing that worries me if Jalen Hurts shows up and he's not like fully ready to play for being out so long and not really having time to prepare in the in the room this week. I think we've seen like if there's anything that's going to be the downfall of this Eagles team, it's if the defense really implodes or if Jalen Hurts just can't put it together. And I think that's kind of at danger for this week. But if he
Mhm.
can, have a solid game, I'd feel really good about them going to the next week and building off of that performance. So we'll see. That's something I'll keep an eye on. But I'd feel good about the Eagles winning this one.
Same.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this one. Make sure you guys comment and subscribe, please. We're almost 500, so we appreciate you guys.
All right. Later.